quantum theory wormholes are part of the predictions of Albert Einstein's theory of relativity. They are like shortcuts that would connect black holes in the universe. Quantum entanglement is a quantum mechanical effect of the squamosa, in which the two properties of the particles, like the spin, are connected. When we change the property of one particle, the other also changes in response to the instant, regardless of the distance they encounter. A new hypothesis of theoretical physicists Juan Martin Maldacena of the Institute of Advanced Studies and Leonard Susskind of Stanford University, is that the wormholes are the result of two black holes. For them, the quantum entanglement occurs through the wormholes. If this connection between quantum entanglement and wormholes is true, it may be the key to uniting quantum mechanics with general work relativity. Another group from Kristen Jensen of Stony Brook University in New York, and Andreas Kark University of Washington in Seattle, investigates how particles behave tangled in a supersymmetric theory. According to the intertwined particles in a four-dimensional universe like ours, behave like a wormhole in a universe with an extra fifth dimension. Researchers say space-time portals to other universes are much simpler to construct than they have speculated so far and do not require negative energy matter, or anti-gravity, to be formed. Ancient people had this knowledge in the past. The end of the Maya and its complex civilization is one of the greatest mysteries of mankind. With a glorious past and unique legacy, the Maya were by far one of the largest and oldest civilizations that has ever existed in America. Proof of this are the advanced knowledge on astrology and the majesty of architectural monuments, which still prevail in its main ruins. However, in spite of being one of the most advanced societies in its time and of being at the top of its civilization, from one moment to another, the cities that were populated stopped being it, generating with it one of the biggest mysteries in the world. The disappearance of the Maya. The sun is a portal that the Mayan gods could use according to the artifacts found in Mexico. The Mayan clay sculptures that came to light by INHA and the Mexican government in 2010 demonstrate the relationship of the Maya with extraterrestrials but also indicate how the gods were transported through the sun. Recently we see images of the sun, taken by the NASA, focusing on the black spots in the form of a box or triangle. Those spots that are of great interest to the NASA could be stargates or stellar gates used by the Mayan gods as shown the following image. These doors would be activated with gold artifacts similar to the doors of Peru. Since the doors are similar in different cultures, so we relate that they would be activated with gold artifacts. If it is mysterious, the origin of the Tiahuanaco people is also its disappearance of the history that occurred, apparently, of abrupt way towards year 1200, without knowing the reasons that took to leave his city, leaving without finishing even some buildings that were in the process of construction. All we know is that it disappeared and was displaced by another of the pre-Inca cultures of this region, that of the Aymara. In Tiahuanaco, Bolivia, before the creation of the Inca Empire, the Door of the Sun is built that is about 15 kilometers from Lake Titicaca. These phenomena of civilizations disappearing for no reason continue to ring around the world. An ancient prophecy tells us that a mysterious gate, located near Lake Titicaca in Peru, will open one day and allow the entrance of the gods, who would return in their solar ships after a long time. In spite of being an ancient prophecy, this structure very similar to a door exists, and is located exactly in the mountainous region of Cajamarca, to 35 km of the city of Puno, Peru. Another legend tells that during the time of the Spanish conquest, an Inca priest from the Temple of the Seven Rays called Aramumuru fled from his temple with a sacred gold disc known as the Key of the Gods of the Seven Rays, and hid in the mountains of Cajamarca to prevent the golden disc being taken away. Later the priest came to the door, where he showed the key to several priests shamans of the area, who after performing a ritual managed to open the door, emanating from it a blue light. Then priest Aramumuru handed the gold disc to one of the shamans and proceeded to pass by the door, and he was never seen again. After some studies of this structure, archaeologists have observed a small circular depression on the right side of the entrance, where they believe it is possible that a small disc can be placed. Current testimonies: some of the people who visit the place and have placed their hands on the small door have commented that they feel a great energy flowing through their bodies. In addition, they have managed to have strange visions like stars, columns of fire and sounds of a music which they describe as rhythmic, unusual, and extraordinary. There is a connection between the Door of the Gods in Markheu and a document declassified by the FBI some time ago, called the Vault, stating that beings of other dimensions visited Earth. Peru being a territory of frequent UFO and paranormal activity would not be so absurd. The possibility that these constructions in the area of Hayumarca are related to the UFO phenomenon. We must add to this the continuous sightings of foreign objects in the region. Theories of the ancient gods and astronauts exist in almost the majority of ancient cultures of the world. Investigating a little this subject can be found many relationships of these with possible alien beings or beings come from the stars, as many, like other cultures, the Egyptian tells us of the ancient gods who bequeathed them the knowledge and wisdom of civilization. They taught them in cultivation, grazing, mathematics, architecture and engineering, law, art. A history based on the ancient civilizations of South America tells us there is a connection between ancient Egypt and pre-Columbian civilizations. Ancient pre-Columbian statues show a very suspicious similarity with ancient Egypt, a possible connection between these cultures. But are there traces of these ancient gods, which allow us to affirm beyond myths, which is usually veridical knowledge transmitted orally, that the extraterrestrial gods were in ancient Egypt in the same way they were in South America? Just as in the pre-Columbian cultures, anomalous skulls have been found. In ancient Egyptian culture, one of the greatest Akhenaten pharaohs, which reigned c. 1353 to 1338 AC, is shown with a strangely elongated head. The ancient pharaohs of Egypt claimed to come from the direct lineage of the gods. Representation of the royal family, Akhenaten, and Nefertiti with 3 of their daughters, who also presented the anomaly of elongation of the skull. Once again, official science, in the 21st century, is unable to explain the causes of such phenomena. This is what happens when we compare one of the skulls of the pre-Columbian sites and a statue of the skull of Nefertiti, mother of the royal pharaonic stock, direct descendant of the Elohim. Shapes fit and evidence as well. Once again, it would be interesting to go over the official lies, the history and myths that have sold us, and make a DNA analysis of these pre-Columbian skulls and the mummies of this pharaonic strain. If a laboratory had the courage to carry out the analyses, the results would probably exceed our expectations and demolish the prevailing historical dogmas, opening the way to new approaches to our origins. The ancient Egypt was known the science of the journey between the stars, creating a portal in 2 ends of the universe connected by a wormhole, or stargate. A fold of the continuous space/time, which connects 2 regions of the universe far apart. An advanced and sacred science that was transmitted only to those few priests of high rank, who, although they did not understand exactly the mechanisms they manipulated, did know their use and motive. Again, reality overcoming fiction, left Osiris rays stretched over its wormhole stellar boat of eternity. To the right, a modern drawing of a wormhole, a transport system that communicates far places and times. The artifact of Osiris, a tower that reached the stars. One of the many technological artifacts depicted on Egyptian murals and stelae. On the opposite wall of the Osiris Chapel, at Abydos, is the artifact of Osiris, enlarged. With the ship of eternity, the king sailing towards eternity like a star. This ship resembles the modern drawing of a wormhole. It deserves special attention. Seti, who seems to have transformed his body into the artifact of Osiris, or is coming out of it. This is a wonderful moment of transformation and resurrection. Modern diagram of a wormhole. Note the trumpet or lotus forms of the entrance and exit mouths. The addition of the wormhole diagram to the Osiris Pillar Tower of Babel suggests that this ladder to heaven was some form of particle accelerator to open wormholes, or that acted as scanning artifact, which scanned Seti atom to atom and fed that information, projected it through the wormhole for reconstruction, reconstitution, or memory of him, the remembered Osiris at the other end of the Stargate. The lions of yesterday and tomorrow guard the stellar gate of the sun into the sky. Above the sun appears the green symbol representing the kingdom of the heavens. The ancients thought that the sun was a stellar tunnel to reach the kingdom of the heavens. In Genesis, it is narrated that it is two cherubim that keep the portal to the Garden of Eden. Today we call that Stargate portal. Pluto's Gate. This place was considered so sacred that only the priests of the cult were allowed to be near it. These priests worshipped a powerful goddess known as Cybele. Cybele is known as the gatekeeper, and it was believed that her permission was needed to move through time and space. Iconographically, she is often described as standing next to the door leading to the other world. The Pluto Gate, located in Pamukkale in southwestern Turkey. In the past it was believed that it led to another world. The Gate of Pluto is just one of the many mysterious places that are described throughout human history and leading to shocking and fascinating places. There are a number of stories similar to this one. In many cases, these doors not only provide the immediate passage out of our planet, even beyond space and time, and according to countless myths, these passages were crossed by beings from another world. Throughout history we know of many tales of advanced beings that came from the stars. As has been described, these mysterious star beings often traversed through portals or gates, which coincides with the definition of a stargate. Could the Pluto Gate really be an extraterrestrial stargate? A place on Earth that allows multidimensional travel, protected by mysterious priests who possess technology and knowledge beyond our own actuality. Turkey's archaeological importance. It is no exaggeration to say that it is the richest country in historical, artistic and archaeological evidence of the world. In the important region of Hattusis, heart of the Hittite Empire, the discoverers of the war chariot, the iron sword and one of the drivers of the written alphabet, Kapilikeya, rock with door, the upper terrace, the smooth half and the rest with enormous steps carved in the rock, leads to the monumental rock mausoleum. The facade of the troglodytic tomb is a regular square of 15 meters on the side, and the funerary complex is a pale patiently excavated in the rocky configuration of the calcareous mountain, and isolated from it everywhere, except for its basement. It is, therefore, a work of Cyclops, if we take into account the location of the tomb, and the dimensions of it. The mausoleum, which has an inscription on its facade in the open hollow in its central upper part, a stela is preserved whose epigraphy says, Ixios. Kapilikeya, which in Turkish means rock with gate, has a very close relationship with the tombs on the northern flank of the mountain that covers the flourishing Amasia Valley. What does this mausoleum dug into pure rock in the middle of nowhere? Curious, no doubt. It also reminds me a lot of the door of Aramumuru, better known as Haymarka. French author Anton Parks says that in southern Mesopotamia he is plagued by what he calls diranas, stargates, and says that there are a total of 25 energy vortices concentrated in that place, So we can see that it was no accident the location chosen by these ancient gods. He places some stargates of vital importance in Babylon, Baghdad, and Ur. Parks also tells us that in order to travel it was necessary to program a destination point, so that he could open a second gate on another planet and thus be able to access the trip, as we see in the Stargate SG-1 series. Bill Cooper alluded to this Stargate technology on a few occasions, saying that soon we would travel by teleportation. Yemen in the Mesopotamian plain, known in the ancient world as the Sinai or the country of two rivers, between the mighty and unpredictable Hiddekel, Tigris, and Euphrates rivers, within what today are the limits of Iraq, rose up in the plain the incomparable and monumental city of Babylon. His name, according to the Chaldean inscriptions, was Babilu, which means Gate of God. In Greek it was known as Babylon or Babylon as we call it today. Their remains are located about 80 km from present-day Baghdad, in an immense plant that occupies a wide triangular surface. The granting of permission for a German team of archaeologists to resume excavations in the Sumerian city of Uruk after a detailed underground mapping suggests that this could be the location for the Sumerian Stargate. This knowledge of a buried Stargate could also be part of the reasons why the German government was publicly opposed to the United States' preemptive war against Iraq. Gulf of Aden. In this place there is a huge military concentration representing all the countries of our planet. Military Starfleet has been installed in the Gulf of Aden, USA, Russia, China, Japan, Iran, Germany, NATO. Mark Huber reports, the Stargate activated in the Gulf of Aden is of positive origin Nibiru. It is a circular vortex a mile in diameter that is an opening to Telos and the Agartha network. It is maintained by technologies consisting of metallic rings suspended above the surface. This old Stargate was originally incorporated by the positive Nibiruans, including Mother Sekhmet, and an advanced group of positive Anunnakis, before the renegades began to mess with this planet. Door physical description: an annular circular vortex of a mile in diameter that extends through what would be water and towards an opening to Telos and the Red Agartha. It also extends upwards of a mile or more, and is maintained by technologies of the Galactic Federation, consisting of metal rings, of non-terrestrial origin, suspended above the surface at least 1 mile. Outside this ring base, about 5 miles away, are the several hundred naval warships around the world, who are overseeing this anomaly. The Stargate, that's what it is, has been self-activated as sensible intelligence and dimensional portal. Ship in the form of pure cigar from the Silver Fleet entered our dimension from below the anomaly, Telos. This was followed by units of the Amethyst Fleet. Special-purpose pyramid-shaped ships entered through the Stargate of the Gulf of Aden. They took positions, one west of the Stargate, one on the north side and one on the east side. They are using this portal to create a specialized lens to support a next higher purpose. The Australian Dr. Michael E. Sala, whose entire career has been spent in the academic world and who has appeared in multiple documentaries, authored more than 70 articles, chapters, and book reviews on peace, ethnic conflict and conflict resolution, wrote in an article that Saddam Hussein was receiving assistance from teams of Russian, German, and French archaeologists in an attempt to unravel this engineering, and that currently the Stargate would be stored in Area 51 of Nevada. Dr. Sala's opinion is strongly influenced by the writings of William Henry. In Antarctica, the story of an inexplicable war that the United States faced in Antarctica in 1947 when it sent a naval fleet called High Jump in search of destroying them, numerous submarines, ships, material and scientists, Germans missing after World War II. It is said that the Nazis arrived at the White Continent to found a base called New Sabia, and there they developed an extraordinary technological scientific advance. The United States fleet faced flying objects or UFOs destroying more than half of the fleet with 1,500 dead. Admiral Richard Byrd, commander of the failed expedition, declared to a confused public opinion at the end of March 1947 that the United States must initiate defense measures immediately against the hostile polar regions. I do not want to frighten anyone, but I must declare the bitter truth that, in case of a new war, the American continent would be attacked by flying objects that can fly from pole to pole at incredible speeds. Although you do not believe it. After this confession, Admiral Byrd was forbidden to make any other statement until his strange death happened in 1957. Then his totally distorted logbook of very dubious origin would emerge. It is believed that Hitler would have located one portal in Antarctica, in 1938 before the outbreak of World War II. He was obsessed with recovering advanced technology devices that left civilizations in the remote past. Nazi scholars also sought some validation for the supremacy of what they called the Aryan race, namely, the portal that brought the Aryans to planet Earth. They were looking for a stellar door. In less than 4 years, the Nazis went from firing missiles to developing radio-guided rockets, not to mention that there were no remote control systems, smart bombs, or satellites at this time. There are those who believe that they achieved thanks to the use of alien technology brought through a Stargate. But to speculate this is beside the point now. Dr. Dan Burisk was born in California in 1964, studied microbiology and psychology at the University of Las Vegas, Nevada, graduated in 1986, completed his PhD in microbiology at Stony Brook University in New York State and graduated in 1989. Between 1990 and 1991 Dan Burisk worked on a classified program, then was in Operation Desert Storm. In 1994 he began working on a secret program called Project Aquarium in an underground place called S4 that is part of Area 51. For those who are not knowing the information of Dan Burisk, this is not new. I recommend that you review the interviews made by Project Camelot. Doctor talks about Stargate technology, both natural and artificial, and how it has been used by aliens and various government entities to travel or send information over time. Burisk appears very sincere, and various signs like body language tell us that he is telling the truth as he believes it. If Stargate's technology exists to the extent that Burisk describes it, and it is directly experienced technology, it is important to consider your testimony as to its merits. Dan Burisk states in his interviews that indeed a Stargate device was in Iraq. According to Doctor, the information on how to make them is on the Sumerian tablets. He also tells us that there were more than 50 man-made Stargates scattered around the world. Apparently Saddam had several Stargates, not whether man-made or ancient gods, and was giving them away to the other Arab countries. These would be the weapons of mass destruction that Iraq had. The Sumerian tablets containing the information were taken from the Baghdad Museum. Burisk says information for the development of artificial stellar portals came from the cylindrical seals extracted from Iraq, both from the first, 1991, and second, 2003, military intervention of the Gulf War by the United States and their allies. The cylindrical seals contained extraterrestrial information that was given to the ancient Sumerians, who faithfully replicated this information in cuneiform texts. Duncan O. Finioan revealed to Michael E. Salla that one of the secret missions he served while secretly engaged in Project Talent, between the ages of 14 and 17, involved him entering a stellar or dimensional portal and that he immediately moved him to an unknown destination. The prestigious researcher David Wilcock mentions in one of his lectures that Saddam Hussein was using this technology, seeing probabilities of the future. The information of Dr. Dan Burisk gives credibility to the thesis that the United States military intervention in Iraq was motivated by the desire to discover and control the technology of Stargate portals. In 2010, Aaron McCollum, the United States military, former Coast Guard and a member of the Third Generation Talent Project, of the program MK Ultra, used to develop the psychic warriors and super soldados for the secret government Illuminati, something with which Hitler dreamed, assured that in the Sea of Yemen opened a Stargate and that he had all the powerful armies trembling, given that extraterrestrial entities were entering. Aaron entered very young to the American Navy given its extraordinary psychic abilities and physical or paranormal. He was recruited after military officers entered his home when he was young and immersed in the pool of the home for several minutes. He endured much more than a normal person. He was immediately enlisted in the Talent Project, where extraordinary boys such as Duncan O'Finioan, very much in the style of the Fringe division that presents the famous television series, to know cultures of other planets crossing the Stargate that they have in an underwater base of Puerto Rico called Seagate. We believe that we live in a free and civilized society, but nevertheless they can come and take you as a child, and become a killer, psychic spy, or whatever it takes to keep moving forward with the Illuminati plan and use you as a shield. McCollum says that little is remembered, because he points out that those episodes were erased from his memory. He then participated in multiple military operations around the world where he learned of several secrets. One of them is that the war in Afghanistan was not in response to the 9/11 attacks, but his nation wanted to seize a series of entrances to subterranean cities that are, presumably, in that territory. In the waters of Yemen, just in the Gulf of Aden, a Stargate portal was opened. That is what affirmed Aaron McCollum in an interview granted to Project Camelot, program that makes its transmissions through YouTube. For McCollum, the armed forces of the great powers were extremely nervous, because they knew that this portal was not generated by nature, such as the Bermuda Triangle or the Triangle of the Dragon, but by alien entities, not yet knowing their true purposes. The important military activity that was mainly in Yemen was due to what happened with the portal stellar, said Aaron McCollum. Quantum theory wormholes are part of the predictions of Albert Einstein's theory of relativity. They are like shortcuts that would connect black holes in the universe. Quantum entanglement is a quantum mechanical effect of the squamosa, in which the two properties of the particles, like the spin, are connected. When we change the property of one particle, the other also changes in response to the instant, regardless of the distance they encounter. A new hypothesis of theoretical physicists Juan Martin Maldacen of the Institute of Advanced Studies and Leonard Susskind of Stanford University, is that the wormholes are the result of two black holes. For them, the quantum entanglement occurs through the wormholes. If this connection between quantum entanglement and wormholes is true, it may be the key to uniting quantum mechanics with general work relativity. Another group from Kristen Jensen of Stony Brook University in New York, and Andreas Kark University of Washington in Seattle, investigates how particles behave tangled in a supersymmetric theory. According to the intertwined particles in a four-dimensional universe like ours, behave like a wormhole in a universe with an extra fifth dimension. Researchers say space-time portals to other universes are much simpler to construct than they have speculated so far and do not require negative energy matter, or anti-gravity, to be formed. Ancient people had this knowledge in the past. Many scientists believe that this coherent set of theories created by Einstein would be a special feature of a more general theory. However, given the difficulty of establishing a quantum mechanics of gravity, and also explain some but important cosmic phenomena that escape, such as the singularity of black holes. String theory says that the four fundamental forces of the universe, electric, gravitational, strong interaction and weak interaction, can be explained by the curvature of a continuous series 11 dimensions of space-time, 10 spatial coordinates and 1 of time. Those who have proposed 6 additional spatial dimensions that do not realize that they are too small, less than 1/1000th of a millimeter, can be compacted from additional force fields, including dilaton, providing an additional term to create a new curvature which does not require anti-gravity to be created.